Best of r/entitled parents episode 200. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. Entitled Aunt thinks yeet is a demonic word used by Satan's gamers. So I have been calling my friends and asking them do they have encounters with Karens. So this is my friend's story. This story revolves around my friend Mike, so if there are any questions, I can't answer them. Backstory: Mike is from an atheist household, but some of his extended family are religious. But there is his aunt. Mike's aunt is the cuckoo clock of the family. She is an anti-vax, anti-gamer, religious Karen. She has always hated me and Mike because we love games and watch vulgar cartoons like Rick and Morty and Has Been Hotel. But she hates her son and daughter even more. She claims that she loves them, but when they came out to her that they're gay and lesbian during a family reunion, she screamed like a banshee saying that they are not her children. She abandoned them. Then after a few years there was a family barbecue where it all took place. Cast: M equals Mike, F1 and F2 equals friend 1 and 2, EA equals entitled aunt, mom equals mom, C equals Carl, entitled aunt son, S equals Susie, entitled aunt daughter. The story: Mix and his friends were just chilling in his room playing his PC and PS4 after having a nice long barbecue with family and friends. Then they wanted to play Minecraft, so Mike booted up his PC, then took turns playing Bed Wars. After a few rounds Mike saw a player below him, so he jumped down to kill him, but as he jumped down he screamed yeet, and as he screamed yeet EA barged into the room. EA, what did you say? I'm in shock. What? EA, what did you just say? I. She was banshee screaming this entire time. F2, you mean yeet? EA, do you know what you did? We were all silent. EA, you summoned Satan. You be pound symbol at me. EA, we didn't summon Satan. F1 whispering those clothes should have summoned Satan. EA, what did you just say? Then my mom, Carl and Susie came into my room after hearing EA horrid screaming. Mom, what going on? EA, your son summoned Satan. I demand you throw away his ritual devices. See, mom, stop. S, please, can you just act normally for once? EA, shut up you. Insert gay and lesbian slur. Now this line made people look at her as at least 25% of the people in this reunion are gay and lesbian, including F1. EA, you will all go to hell, so pieces of S at. C took a deep breath. Listen, you will never be our mom and you will never be invited to my wedding. S, and not my wedding either. Surprise, surprise, the siblings are getting married. When EA heard this she stood there in awe. EA, why you didn't tell me you two are getting married? Sob, I raised you. Cole and Susie were red in anger right as she said that. See, you didn't raise us. You tried to kill us by not giving us vaccines. Never let us go to school field trips. S, you never took our option. You kicked us out when we told you we're gay. See, you never spend any time with us, and most importantly you go out looking for other men while dad is in Afghanistan fighting. EA was silent. Stood there as everyone was looking at her. Mom, EA, is this true? You're cheating on my brother. EA, so who cares? I sleep with other men anyway. These two are probably not my husband's children anyway. Mom, so you're saying that you're religious but you sleep with other men? Busted. She just revealed her deepest secret. EAI. She then ran to her car and drove off. This is not over yet. After a few months, Mike and his family were invited to Carl's wedding. Turn out Carl's husband is some rich-time big shot manager at a really popular company. Guess who heard about this and came crawling back? EA. 2 days later after the wedding, Susie, Mike and his family were staying together with Carl and his husband so they can celebrate. They saw EA's car pull up into the driveway and EA came barging in. EA, Carl, C, what do you want? EA, please give some cash. C, what? EA, please. I'm in deep trouble. I'm in debt with a guy who I had sex with. I told him I wasn't married but he found out. He threatened to call the police on me if I don't pay him. C, sigh. Here, take this. This is all you will get from me. And the $250. EA, what, this is it? You're married to a rich guy and all you gave me, you selfish and. C, go, get out and don't come back. EA was never to be seen again, and this was a year ago. Last we heard from her is from a friend saying that she wasn't in trouble, she just wanted money from Carl. The money Carl gave her and all her life savings, but she wasted all on drugs. alcohol and hookers. Now she has no money and is traveling from city to city to find a life. Carl, Susie and Mike all live in California, but EA was last seen in North Carolina. This is it. Mike says there are more stories about her, but this is the last story Mike has about her. Thank you. Next. EM tries to steal my cat, then tries to kill her when I say number TLDR at the bottom. Sorry for grammar, my English sucks. So this happened 2 weeks ago and I am fuming over it. I have orange tabby cat named Bun. She loves to play with rubber ducks and always cuddles with me. Cast. EM fat scumbag. PD poor dad. EK hell spawn. Me guess who? Story. I was with my cat in the mall. Yes, I trained my cat so much that it can walk on a leash. My Bun was getting a lot of petting and always. Then enter EM and EK. She had the classic Karen haircut, lots of stupid bracelets, and she was fat. EK was around 8-9ish. Then EK sees my cat, cue the audio. EK, in whiny tone. I wanna pet the kitty. EM was on her phone probably chatting on those woo woo anti-vax groups. EM looks at K. Sure, sweetie, sure. EK runs over to my cat. Now my cat is very social and loves playing with kids, and Bun starts to wrap around his feet. Me. AWW. Looks like she likes you. EK smiles at me and starts petting Bun. She purrs. Then EK runs over to his EM. I start to walk Bun out when I hear someone clear their throat. I look up and it's EM. EM, excuse me, my son loves your kitty. Can he have it? Me. No, I love my cat a lot and I will not give her to a random stranger. EM starts pulling money out of her wallet. EM, here $500 for that cat. EK has a shit-eating grin, and is sticking his tongue at me. Me. Mom, I said I do not wanna give my cat to you. My mom was in Victoria's Secret shopping. I was in the food court. Now the food court is near the store and my mom worries about me getting lost. EK starts fake crying. But I want the cut. Then EM starts to scream at me, calling me a slut, whore, racist, and a shithead. As I am about to go to the store and find my mom, EM pulls out a knife and tries to stab my cat. EM, you disgraceful shit will give Emmy your cat. You will burn in hell. EM caused a huge scene and everyone was looking at EM. I start to run out of the food court, with my cat in my arms. Then EK distracts me, and EM manages to stab my cat's leg. My cat starts to screech and hiss at both of them, and people are holding EM away from me. I get security and go find my mom. As I am looking, PD walks up to me. PD, I am so sorry about my wife. She is the most insane person I know and I am planning to divorce her. PD hands me cash to pay for any future vet bills. PD then walks away muttering, I swear I am gonna divorce with her. As I find mom, I tell her what happened and she rushes Bun to the vet. As I get in the car with poor Bun, I see EM and EK being dragged out by PD and police in cuffs. She sees me and screams out fuck you. And EK is crying. Don't worry, my cat survived, she had to get her leg amputated. TL. Dr. EK likes my cat. Then EM wants to steal her. I say no. She stabs my cat. And my cat went to the vet. And Bun was on my desk as I wrote this. Thank you. Next. Entitled Dad Wants My Granny-in-Law's Wheelchair. So, several months ago, my granny-in-law was in an accident. That was not her fault. This resulted in both her fake leg and real leg getting broken, among other injuries. Granny is just full of rage. She's 80 years of rage. People, she had fought hard for decades over wanting to be independent and never be put in a home or become someone's burden. She wanted to live in her own home, take care of herself, and die in her own bed. Sadly, the accident made that impossible now. She'll never be able to walk under her own power again, and she's hurting herself using a walker or whatever you call those wheeled things. She wants to live at home, however. She knew she would need someone there constantly, and hired a day nurse and a night nurse to come take care of her. She refuses to move into any home, relatives or otherwise. Well, in an effort to get her out of the house, me wifey and I would take her out. Yes, we were being very careful about where we were taking her, and going all out on masks, and antibacterial everything. We tried to take her places that weren't too crowded, but also wheelchair accessible. Well, a mall that was about an hour out of town had reopened. It's a sad place, because many of the stores were closed, and possibly would never get any new business. It was a dying building, but the food court still had excellent food. We went there today. The kids were off playing with some friends, so it was just me wifey, me granny, and myself, taking laps around the mall, taking turns on who pushes granny. Now, granny was wearing a long skirt, but didn't have her fake leg on. You couldn't really see that she had one leg, unless you were looking very closely. So, I can kind of understand why this ED thought that my granny had two legs. See, we got hungry, and went to the food court to get healthy. Heh, food to eat. We pulled up to a table, and started to chow down. Then, ED appeared. I don't even need to transcribe this part. It's a dime a dozen story, about an entitled parent that wants the wheelchair that someone is currently using. We say no, she says no and cannot walk, and the ED demands it for his son. He was sitting at another table, looking like he was out cold. He was that tired looking. Granny finally had enough, and looked at him right in the eye and said, "Young man, this is my chair, which I need to move about. I don't care how tired your kid is, he cannot have this. I would not be able to walk at all." ED, obviously, replies, "You may be old, but you don't need it at all. You can walk, you old crone." Granny got red in the face. "Old crone? Looky here, little boy, I may be old, but I can kick your ass, even if my only leg is in a bad shape." ED scoffs at her. "I bet you're only faking about having one leg." Granny looked like she was going to yell again, except, she just grinned. She turned her chair to him, and lifted up her skirt. She showed him that she was, indeed, missing a leg. "Think I'm faking here, kid?" she goes in a snide tone. "Think this is a fake stump?" ED looked embarrassed, and tried to talk. Granny wouldn't let him. She actually lifted up her stump a bit. "Why don't you touch my stump? Come on, it might be a real stump, might be fake. Touch it and see. Touch my stump. If it's a fake stump, the chair is yours." The guy backed off and started for his table, except, Granny started to wheel after him, yelling at him, "Come on, touch my stump. You know you want to. Touch it." Me wifey was cracking up at this, so I had to be the one to grab her chair and bring her back. The ED picked his son up and carried him out of there quickly. Granny was grumbling about how rude that man was, but she looked so damn proud of herself. What few people there that was in hearing range was also laughing, although 2 people looked disgusted at my granny-in-law. Screw them. At least that got some of her anger out of her system. The situation calmed her down a great deal, and cheered her up. Edit. Thank you for the rewards. That I am deceased one cracked me up. Thank you. Next. EM waits until I go to the bathroom and then lets her kid eat all my food at a restaurant. Hey guys, so been quite a while since I've posted here. I was in luck. No EPs in sight for so long, but looks like my luck ran way out yesterday. Here we go. EM. Entitled Mom. EK. Spawn of Satan. DD. Decent Dad. AM. Amazing Manager. Alright, let's dive into some context here. So in my city, amid the whole pandemic, patio dining just started opening in restaurants. I've been super careful during this whole thing. Social distancing, the whole bit. Yesterday I finally decided I wanted to go eat at a restaurant for the first time since March, and this one great restaurant near my house was doing patio dining. I show up and grab a table and place my order. Shortly after my food comes, EM and EK take a seat at the table nearest to me. I really needed to pee and I had a whole bunch of stuff with me. I'd been running some errands. So I turned to EM and asked if she would mind watching my stuff from her seat while I went to the bathroom. She was super sweet. "Oh sure honey, go ahead." And then I went on my way. But then oh lord. When I came back I didn't even know WTF I was looking at. There was the spawn of Satan sitting in my seat with his bare hands shoveling my food into his mouth. All of my bags were rummaged through and full of food from his dirty hands, and EM was just sitting at her table scrolling through her phone. Me. Wow, what the hell happened here? EM. "Oh, hey sweetie. Looks like he took a real liking to your food. He just couldn't keep his paws off." Laughs. Me. Mom, we're in the middle of a pandemic and you don't know where I've been and I don't know where your child's been, yet you thought we could just share food? He's eating almost all of it. And what about my stuff? Excuse me, you mangy tween. I'm 19 BTW. I wasn't gonna say anything, but you don't need to be eating all of that food, unless you want to get fatter than you already are. I also don't like you impel ying that baby or something. As for your stuff, he saw some stupid knickknacks he wanted to play with in there. What did you want me to do about it? Quit whining and eat the rest of your food. Oof. I'm in no way overweight right now, but as someone who struggled hard with eating disorders in the past, I was seeing red. Oh, and those stupid knickknacks she mentioned, 90% of it were birthday presents for my mom, whose birthday is coming up next weekend. Sigh. Oh, and all the while as we're arguing, EK is still eating. And I start raising our voices when the AM finally comes out. Thank God you're here. This mangy child is trying to take our food and our stuff right over here. I'd like you to call the police. He looked at and then back at me and then back at Mom, I'm not sure if you're maybe not in the right mindset. You seem maybe a little unhinged, but I was actually here when this young lady came in and ordered. I actually brought her food out since we're understaffed. I mean, I surely could have mistaken you too if you weren't a hag, but unfortunately for you. Shrugs. At this point a man arrives. Our DD. I don't actually know for sure, but I'm assuming he showed up late to join the and EK for lunch after work because he was on a call still. He noticed the commotion and with a "here we go again" look he hung up and came over. I explained the whole situation to him and the gave her twisted side of the story and he immediately believed me, which makes me think that she's definitely pulled some BS like this before. DD, honey, let's just leave please, come on. Yeah, you guys are definitely leaving, but you still have this young lady's meal to pay for and whatever reimbursement is needed for these items you ruined, unless you'd like the police to be involved. HA in your dreams. I'm not giving you or this child a penny. Let's go. Grabs the kid and starts leaving and motions for DD to follow her. DD really silently came up to me and started apologizing profusely and taking out money from his wallet to give to me. DD, here, please take this. I'm so sorry. Genuinely, I'm looking into a divorce currently with my lawyer, but she can't know about it just yet. Here, I'm really sorry about your stuff and your food. Please replace everything on me. I'm so sorry. He closed his wallet and left while still apologizing. I felt so bad for that guy, jeez. I hope he gets out of that situation ASAP. Anyway, I think I find some comfort knowing that has a surprise divorce fastball heading her way. That's gonna be a fun time for DD and pure amusements for little old me. TLDR. Wait for me to go to the bathroom at a restaurant and lets her EK eat all of my food and ruin my stuff. Threatens with police and DD pays for damages. Thank you. Next. I'm early, so where's my cake? Didn't happen to me, but a co-worker of mine. I work at a bakery in a grocery store not far from where I live. A few weeks ago, about the beginning of June, it was extremely crazy due to an onslaught of cake orders made for graduations and birthdays. Thankfully I didn't have to work that day, but the co-worker who this story is about told me of this woman who came in wanting a mermaid cake for her daughter. First thing I should mention, when we get a cake order we always write down what time we can expect to see the customer. That way we can sort the cakes based on how early they need to be prepared. Turns out this woman comes in an hour before the decorators had her order is finished, and rather than just do other shopping and come back, she stands right outside the bakery and impatiently waits for a cake and cupcakes, interrupting every now and then to ask how much longer it's going to be. So, the decorators are just scrambling to finish both orders for her. Once they're finally ready, the woman takes it and decides to balance the large box on the seat for small children at the front of her cart rather than making room for it in the basket. My co-worker warns her about the potential accident this is likely to end in, but the woman shrugs the warning off and basically ignores her. Well, she decides to go through self-checkout, and guess what happens? That's right, the cupcake's full. She marches back over to the bakery fuming, like they had anything to do with the mess all the way from the other side of the store, and demands that they prepare more cupcakes for her. Grudgingly they fix what cupcakes they can and remake the ones that were beyond saving. all while she's bickering about there not being any help in the self-checkout area. Lady, it's self-freaking checkout. You help yourself. They were eventually able to get rid of her, but it backed them up on the rest of the orders they had to get done. Thankfully that was the only memorable entitled parent they had to deal with that day, or at least that's what my co-worker told me. Thank you. Next. Entitled mother tries to take away my wheelchair so her daughter can sit down. Context. This happened before lockdown started in the UK, so the details of the story are not pinpoint accurate. Cast. Me. Mum equals M. EM equals dipshit. EM's daughter equals D. Nurse equals N. I had a skiing accident while learning to ski with a friend. This was because we were going on holiday. It had been going quite well, but in the last 30 minutes I fell over and broke it. I was stretchered off the slope and taken to the hospital. When there I was given a wheelchair because I couldn't walk and didn't have crutches because it had just broken. We went into the waiting area and it was quite busy because this was back when everyone was taking their kids to the hospital because their child got a cold. Combine that with 2 serious accidents that came in and we had a long wait ahead of us. Thankfully the wheelchair was cushioned, which was nice for me. About 3 hours into the wait, a mother and daughter walk into the waiting room. This is EM and D. D has a face mask on and is looking worried. M. Go find a seat, D, while I sign in, but make sure it's away from people. D. But all the seats are close to each other and it's full. M. Well, find anyone and sit down. You're wearing a face mask. D looks around the room and spots one empty chair and sits down. M walks over. Where's my seat, D? D. This is the only empty one, EM. EM stands up for about an hour. She then scours the room and spots me in my nice comfy wheelchair. She starts walking over to me. M. Excuse me, young man. Me. Yes. EM. I can't help but notice that you're on a movable chair. Could I borrow that from you to sit next to my daughter? M. No, sorry, my son is waiting on an X-ray and can't stand up. EM. Well, if you haven't had an X-ray then you don't know if it's broken. M. I think it's broken because you can hear the clicking when you move it. EM. Well, it's public property so you can't use it as your private property. Me. I seriously can't move, so can you leave me alone? EM raises her voice for the waiting room to hear. What do you mean I can't have the chair? My daughter is very nervous and needs me to sit next to her. D looks down at the floor embarrassed. N. Can I please have me for his X-ray? Me and M go into the X-ray and get the diagnosis that my leg is broken and get it casted. This takes about 3 hours and takes us till 2 in the morning. I'm then taken home, but while I'm going back through the waiting room I spot EM and the color drops from her face as she realizes that my leg was actually broken. There was no arrest, no removing from the hospital, just a very conveniently timed nurse and a look of horror on EM's face. Edit. Just to be clear, the daughter is not entitled. Thank you. Next. EM asks me to turn down the volume on a lawnmower. A little bit of context: I'm 14 years old and I have no way of making money other than mowing lawns. My local church's lawn is huge and they pay my dad around $6-10K a year to do it, and he pays me $8 an hour, and we have to mow the lawn there every week and it takes us about 2-3 hours each time. So we arrive at the church, lift up the deck and release the straps and everything to get the mower off the trailer, and I get to use the zero turn this time. Fast forward about an hour and a half. M walking up. The church is next to a park. Could you turn down the volume of the mower please? My son doesn't like it. Yes, that's right. She asked me to turn down the volume. Me. Sorry mom, it doesn't work that way. You can't just turn down the volume because it's not a TV. Obviously I knew what she meant, but if I turned it down it'd take ages to do the lawn. M. Fine, then I'll just tell your father. Me. Go right ahead. He'll tell you the exact same thing except he'll make it a bigger problem for you. M. Fine. She didn't go to my father, she actually went back to the park and sat down with a crappy look on her face. Fast forward about 10 or so minutes and EM was pissed. Walking over to me now. I was on the south field next to my dad's truck. M. Talking to my dad. Your son is driving like a maniac. No, I wasn't. And he refuses to turn down the volume of the mower. And my son doesn't like loud noises. My dad. Sorry, suck it up, he can't turn it down. He was using finger quotes, but what he can do is make it go slower, which makes it quieter. M. Looking for a chance to cut him off and be right. So the little BTCH lied to me. My dad, well yeah, but then it'd take us much longer to do our work. My dad then proceeds to grab the edger and walks off to the highway to edge, and I drive off to finish mowing. Em had walked away with a furious look in her eyes, but she couldn't do anything about it.